Hi y'all, so it is really close to Thanksgiving, so it's time to make all the things, right? And when you think of dessert for Thanksgiving, you probably think of a pie. So pie might be the most traditional thing to bring and have for Thanksgiving, but if you're looking for something a little bit different to bring to that Thanksgiving gathering, then this is the video for you. Hi y'all, I'm Jamie and this is Dig It Homesteading, and we are about to do 5 Thanksgiving desserts that aren't pie. So let's do this. So when you are fully immersed in a ton of holiday baking and cooking and making and visiting, sometimes you want something that's super fast to throw out for guests and have everybody in the crowd satisfied. So we're going to start with what is probably the easiest recipe out of all of them and is the most customizable one there is. So if there's things you don't like in this, take them out. If there's other things you'd like to put in it, add it in. Feel free to make it yours. I will link recipes that I am doing today for you to go ahead and print off and save and prep for your repertoire. And I hope you enjoy this holiday and try out some new recipes. So to start, we're going to get 3 cups of bugles. And almost all of the ingredients for this I got at Dollar Tree. So if you were looking for a quick, pretty cheap thing to bring to one of your events, this might be it. I will let you know what ingredients I had to source at another store, but like I said, for most part I was able to pick up everything for this. I think there was 2 that I wasn't able to do. Okay, so we're just going to pour that in. And this, again, if you can find other flavors, I think they might make like cinnamon sugar, so that would be a good one. Or if you want to take the time to melt some butter and drizzle it over them and then add some sprinkle of cinnamon sugar, that might sweeten it up even more. Okay, one of these ingredients I couldn't find, and I don't really see a lot here locally, so I just got 2 different boxes of Crunch and Munch. They pretty much taste the same, even side by side from what I remember. But we need 3 cups of caramel corn. And this one says caramel, so that's the one we're going to say that is. Cups caramel corn. And there's only a tad bit left, so I'm throwing that in there too. Now, this is one that I had to find at Walmart, which is the Chex. I'm using the corn today. I really don't know that I went and checked through the Dollar Tree, and I went to one city over that's a bigger city, because our little small town doesn't always have the same things it does. So if you're in that position and you're in a bigger city, hit those up. You might be able to find everything at one store. Okay, that's about 3. I'm going to add that. Now, kettle corn. Kettle corn is the thing that I don't really see a lot around here. So we are just going to add toffee, well, buttered toffee of the Crunch and Munch. And this is where you can get creative. And that's funny, these boxes are 6-ounce boxes and they are right about 3 cups. So that is absolute perfection for us. Now, let's add our pretzels. Again, here you can get creative if you want to add pretzels or not, sticks, the regular shaped little mini pretzels, whatever style pretzels you would like to add, go for it. Do a couple more. Throw that in there. Now we need 1 cup of dry roasted peanuts, unsalted or lightly salted. If you have a super duper sweet tooth, you could even get candied peanuts or whatever kind you want. These are dry roasted salted, so I didn't listen to what they said at all because I got salted. I figured with all this sweet, we would want some salt. And that, again, was the perfect amount. Alright, now here's where you can get incredibly creative. Because for 1 cup of Reese's Pieces, I just got this small Dollar Tree box. I don't know if it'll be enough. It is probably half a cup. So if you do that, then you'll need 2, or you can get, you know, a bigger amount. This is 4 ounces, so you'll need about 8 ounces of Reese's Pieces if you're trying to follow this recipe. And this is the other item that I couldn't find at ours, but I swear I've seen them at Dollar Tree before. It's the yogurt covered raisins. So I had to pick these up at Walmart, and I'm going to get these open and measured out. We need 1 cup of those as well. And ours didn't have the bag of these. Yeah, I'll give you one in a minute. Hold your horses. No, be quiet. She's in there begging for food again. You know what she's like. If I'm in here cooking, she wants some. Okay, that is, the little 6-pack is exactly 1 cup. Now here is where I deviated, because I like candy corn, but I really like the little pumpkins. I couldn't find just a bag of pumpkins because I went and found things after Halloween, and my Walmart literally has no candy corn, no nothing. So next year I will get a bag of pumpkins to put in here. And anybody that don't like these can just, you know, eat around them and share with somebody who does like them. So let me know down in the comments, are you team candy corn or team no thanks? Alright, that's a little less than a cup. Yeah, it might be a cup. But that'll also fill in for the fact that we don't have a whole lot of the Reese's Pieces. Plus, candy corn screams fall. So, let's get this mixed up. And I am going in barehanded. And I think it's very funny that a lot of channels have to say, yes, I wash my hands, and I guess they have comments about people saying, do you ever wash your hands? And I just don't understand that. Of course these people who are showing you how to cook are washing their hands, but do you really want to watch people wash their hands, or do you want to watch them make food? That makes no sense to me. Plus, when we're making all this stuff, we make a lot of dishes, and well, I don't really care that much, but most people don't want to show their dirty dishes. But anyway, rant over. We're going to stir it all up. This would be even better if I kept a popcorn tin and just put it in there and put the lid on it and shook it up, and then it would be stored and ready for Thanksgiving. Now all the candy's falling to the bottom. Makes sense though, they're heavier. So we'll try to dig some of them out as we turn. Alright, how pretty is that? I don't usually like eating my food together, but for some reason this type of thing is okay. So let's test it out. Candy corn with a bugle. Never would have thought of that. Wow. I like it. Anyway, I'm gonna get my hair put up because it's touching me. Anybody have that feeling? Sensory? Where you gotta like have stuff stop touching you? It's a thing. Alright, anyway, we are going to store this in an airtight container. If you're doing it ahead, you could do this weeks and weeks and weeks ahead. Nothing in here is wet. I'd say even 3 weeks, 4 weeks ahead. And then you could store it in your airtight container and somewhere cool. And then you could just break it out and have this snack or dessert. This is sweet enough it's dessert. And it will appease a whole crowd of people. It's quite a lot of food. Plus they can grab the handfuls that they want, or you can use a spoon, one of those big serving spoons, so they can scoop it out if you're worried about that kind of thing. I might bring these to work. Surprise people up there. But anyway, we got more things to do. We have 4 more recipes to go that are cooking, baking recipes. So let's see what we're doing next. So I know a lot of people have these lovely KitchenAids, and they're great, but you don't have to use it. So this next recipe, we're going to just use a hand whisk, not even a beater, which you can use a beater. I know lots of people have those, but we're going to try out the hand whisk with this and see how that goes, just to see how minimal of kitchen equipment you actually need to get any of this done. And this recipe is white chocolate cranberry blondies. That sounds amazing. So I have my oven set to preheat at 350, and I have a greased 13 by 9 inch glass pan ready. So I've got melted butter, about 3.5 cups of that, which is 1.5 sticks, and then I've added firmly packed light brown sugar. And we're going to, we'll just use a fork and stir this in and let it cool slightly. And y'all, I ain't gonna tell you how old I actually am, but it has taken me my whole life to get a KitchenAid. I only just got it last year for Christmas, and I was just absolutely tickled to have this machine, because they aren't expensive, but my lovely husband found one on special, and so we were able to get it. And I tell you, sister probably has used it more than I have. So it has been beneficial for the entire household. Oh, and by the way, we are planning to do Christmas candies as well again this year. Me and sister always decide if we're going to do Christmas candy or Christmas cookies. And she has decided she wants to do Christmas candy again. So we're going to have to try to time those videos so sister can be a part of it, y'all. She wants to do all the candies this year. Alright, I probably should have got a bigger bowl for this, but it is what it is now. So we're going to add 2 room temperature eggs, 1 at a time. Hopefully without shells. Which I saw one in here. Got it. And we're going to add them in 1 at a time and beat them. Let's see. There you go. Let's beat them in. We'll just go even as basic as a fork today, I guess. Okay, next one. And I am lucky. I know sister didn't collect her eggs last night because I did not think to get eggs out. So having chickens is really helpful, especially when you got 5 recipes to make in one day, possibly more.
Don't know what I'll get up to today. It depends on how long all this takes, but I have another video I'm planning to do for y'all real soon. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But it's easy to look over and forget to put out eggs to be room temperature when you're juggling a ton of stuff. Do you keep chickens? Are you allowed to have chickens? I know some cities still won't let people have chickens. So if you live in the city, let us know if your city has jumped on the chicken bandwagon. Alright, that looks mixed in pretty well. The fork's doing great. Alright, we are going to break open this vanilla de Mexico because, yeah, I know you can make your own vanilla, but why make it when you go to Mexico once a year and you can just buy lovely Mexican vanilla? I'll tell you what, people love that I go there. And look, it's lovely and clear. Oh, y'all, that smells exquisite. Alright, so we're just going to beat that into, and that was about 3/4 of a teaspoon. You can measure it with love or measure it accurately, however you want. Vanilla's pretty easy going. Unless you're new, then please measure. We need 2 1/4 cup of flour. And I have another measuring scoop in there. 1, 2. And see if I can figure out the 1/4. Oh, thank goodness. I gotta remember to keep an eye out for a new measuring set. Because what's the point if you can't read them? And we need 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, which I have here. There's 1. And that's 1/4, so we'll just do that one twice. Alright, and we need 1/4 a teaspoon salt. And this is just pink Himalayan sea salt. I'm going to add a little bit more because it's never as salty as regular salt. And then we need 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm sure if you hated cinnamon like my husband does, you could leave that out, but we're going to add it in there and see if he notices. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Okay, we're going to whisk this together, which again, you could use a fork, but I am going to whisk. Just get it all nice and incorporated together. Okay, we're supposed to stir this into the butter mixture, but as you see, there's a bowl issue, so I'm going to stir that into here. I don't really see it making that big of a difference, but I'm going to get this out of our way. And then we can get all of this mixed up together. Put my egg fork with my egg bowl. It's kind of like a caramel texture. That's interesting. And I've never made this recipe, so we are going to test it out together. Have you ever tried a new recipe and you know you did it right, but just something wasn't wrong? I mean, something was wrong. That happens. And now I'm finding out there's like Well, for one, there's always human error, but there's AI making things. Which, how does an AI know how to cook? That's what I want to know. So, we might be finding issues finding recipes. So make sure you read over the recipe. If it just doesn't look right, then it probably isn't. But that's why I'm taking you along to try out these recipes. And this is coming together quite easily. Again, I don't see there's any reason for a stand mixer for this. This isn't back-breaking work to mix it up. And I do have a chunk of brown sugar in there. Alright, now it looks nice and creamy, all mixed up. If I see that, we'll just take that guy out. Don't want a giant chunk. That's what happens to our sugar because we're so humid here. Alright, now we need to add half of a cup of dried cranberries. Now we need to add in 6 ounces of white baking chocolate, coarsely chopped. And this technically isn't baking chocolate, but this is what I could find, and it's 24 ounces. So here is 12. So one line is 6 ounces. I don't know if this will work or not. We usually use this to make candy. But I guess we'll find out. It should taste lovely. It's vanilla flavored, so it's not technically white chocolate. So if you're like a purist, then you might want to actually find that. I could find white chocolate chips, and that would work. But I figured for the bang for my money, it was worth trying this out in this recipe, because then we can have this extra whenever we're making candies as well. And I like to go on the corners, and that seems to help cutting chocolate, because it can be difficult to cut, but if you use each corner, it kind of helps you get through it a little easier. Alright, we're going to add this in. And stir it up. It definitely smells good and looks good, so fingers crossed it will turn out good, because I'm really not so sure about the size of pan that they said to use for this. This doesn't seem like it's a lot, but maybe it'll puff up a little bit. So we're just going to try it and see what happens. That way y'all know if something goes wrong, how we can make an adjustment. Okay, it does say the batter will be thick, which it definitely is. Now we're going to pour it into a greased 13 by 9 inch pan. You see what I'm saying? Let's see how it spreads out. I don't think I've ever made blondies. Well, maybe once. Do you prefer blondies or brownies? I think my family prefers either. Okay, this is going to go into the 350 degree oven for 18 to 21 minutes. And then I'll show you what it looks like coming out and then what we need to do with it after. Alright, so while the blondies are in the oven, we're going to start the next recipe, which is also brownies, but it's also not just brownies. It's butterscotch brownies. That sounds really good. And when I think of butterscotch, I definitely think more of a fall flavor. And we're going to reuse these dishes because they have pretty much very similar ingredients. So let's get this whipped up as quick as we can. Okay, for this recipe, we need to have 2 cups of flour, then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and we're going to sift these. And I love this thing. This was probably my favorite thing to do when I'd be baking with my grandmother when I was a child. Always get my kids in the kitchen. The earlier the better. I have 1 cup of unsalted butter in the microwave, melting. So we will go ahead and use the KitchenAid on this one. I don't see why you couldn't use a hand whisk. Same thing. It's just one is easier on your arms versus the other. Or just use a regular beater. That looks alright. Okay, we need 2 cups of packed brown sugar. And if you're new to baking, when you do packed brown sugar, it's literally what it says. You want to pack it into the cup. So I just use the outside of the bag and then run my hands across it, and that's packed. And I think a light bulb has gone out in my kitchen, so my not so great lighting has turned into even more not so great lighting, so sorry about that. Two cups packed light brown sugar, and we're going to add our butter. Get all that goodness out. We buy a lot of butter, and I've found that my local Kroger runs a deal for it where it makes it about $3.50 a pound. So that's an item I absolutely love to go get on sale and then throw in my freezer. Especially now I have a whole bunch of it in my freezer for all of these baking projects, and I don't have to wonder if I have that. Alright, we're going to beat this together until well combined. Hopefully everything's locked well. Now we need 3 large eggs. And we will do these one at a time because these are fresh yard eggs. And you should always crack those separately. Into a separate container, because otherwise we could ruin everything in this stand mixer if one of the eggs are off. And I'll just drop the shell in there. Got it. Now we need to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And we are going to gradually stir in our flour mixture. And we're going to, for one, get the flour off of there. And we're going to go through and scrape down our sides As you see, quite a bit gets flung up onto the sides. And we want all of that to get into our mixture. Okay, give it one more. Go round. That looks great. It's a little bit thinner than peanut butter consistency, I'd say. So this one's definitely a lot thinner of a recipe than the other one. Now we need to add 1 cup of chopped walnuts. You can substitute for whatever whatever nuts you want. I have walnuts. I couldn't tell what I had because I just had them rolled up in a bag in the freezer. That's where I keep my nuts so they don't go rancid. We're just going to hand stir this in. Get this out of our way. Ooh, it's fluffy and lovely. I love it. That batter is just lovely. It's almost like a mousse. So when it's dripping, it's peanut butter consistency, but when you're getting in there, man, that's like a mousse. It's lovely, lovely. Okay, now we want to spread batter into the prepared pan. So what that means is we need to have it greased. And this one calls for a 7 by 11 inch. I'm just guessing that's what this one is. I didn't measure it or anything, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to grease this up and we'll get this one into the oven as well. I decided to go with a little bit of ghee because the only spray I have is olive oil, and that might be able to have that flavor come through. Well, it might have coconut, but that would have flavor come through as well. So I didn't want to go pull out more butter, so I figured we'd try this out. Okay, that looks lovely and greased up. And let's pour this out. Ooh, that's lovely. And don't worry, I am scraping this bowl down. We'll make it nice and tidy in just a minute. And there is our alarm for our blondies. Let's check that. Oh my goodness, that smells delicious. Okay, there's a little crack here. That's one of the ways I'm telling this is about done. It's getting a little bit brown around the edges. I wouldn't want it to go any more than that. No jiggle. So we're going to move this out of the way and let it cool and come back to it and show you the top in just a little bit. I did manage to get the bowl finish scraped out. So we're just going to make this nice and as pretty as we can. How about that? And I'm going to take that off the edge because I don't want it to burn. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to get this in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes, and then it also needs to cool, and it also has something special for the top. Y'all, the kitchen's becoming a wreck, which means we are making great things. So if you've destroyed your kitchen, don't worry about it. If you like to clean up as you go, great. If you like to clean up at the end, great. Whatever you like to do. I'm a little between both. I pick up, throw things away, wipe down, that kind of stuff in between, reuse things.
tidy up, maybe scoot my items that I'm not using out of my way so I have a place to work, because I don't have the biggest kitchen. But anyway, next up, oh, this sounds so good, y'all. Brown butter apple crisp bars. That sounds like fall to me. So we will need the stove for this. So let me grab a pan, and hopefully these turn out amazing because they sound so good. Okay, to start, I have half a cup of unsalted butter. I cubed it up. It was already pretty soft, but I wanted to cube it up a little bit to help it get going. We're gonna melt this down in a light colored saucepan over medium low heat, and we're gonna just swirl it. And this is gonna take about 10 minutes, so you can consider it a labor of love, but oh, if you haven't had brown butter, you're missing out on some love. But anyway, I'll show you what it looks like whenever I've gotten it brown and fragrant. Don't forget that. You will smell it, you will know, and don't walk away from it, because this will go from brown butter to burnt butter like that. Alright, while that butter is going, we are going to get 2 large Granny Smith apples, peeled, and then I'll run and rinse them. But we want to core them and thinly slice, I believe. Yeah, thinly sliced. So I'm going to try it this way, because this peeler likes to be able to have a little bit of a grip somewhere. And I tell you what, these chickens are going to have a feast today. I got some dehydrated elderberry sorted through, so I have some little excessy things from that. And I saved my eggshells and crushed them and give those back to them. And now they'll have this as well. So I'm going to just come in at an angle. Pop it out. And now I can thinly slice. And get these ready for our next step. And our butter has melted. That's taking no time. Alright, I'll just finish these up. And then we'll check on the brown butter together. Okay, this is done. It has gotten a little richer in color, and it's definitely got a toasted smell to it, which is what you're looking for. So we're going to pour this into a mixing bowl, and then return this to the heat, and we're going to add our apples. Tablespoons of brown sugar, and then 2 tablespoons of butter. We want to add the lemon juice, but I don't have lemon juice. I mainly use lime juice. That's going to be 1 teaspoon, and then we need 1 1/4 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'm sure all this is to keep your apples from turning brown, so that will be fine to substitute. This is my 1/8 that I was using earlier, so we'll just do it twice. And then we're going to mix this all together. And we also need to add a pinch of salt.
We're going to keep it on medium-low heat and cook it, stirring occasionally until the apples are softened, about 10 minutes. Oh, my house smells like fall now, y'all. Look at that. Salt. Pinch of salt. Pinch of salt in your baked goods actually will bring out the flavor of everything, so don't be scared to add that to pretty much any of your baked goods. Alright, while that cooks, I'm going to check on, I don't even know what it is we have in the oven. Oh, the butterscotch brownies. They still have a few minutes. They have 4 minutes, but I'm going to check on them now. Ooh-wee, I'm glad I did, because these are getting brown. So, I would probably cover this with foil next time, but the toothpick's coming out clean, and since it was such a fluffy batter, it does still jiggle, but it should set. So I'm gonna go set this on the table to cool, and we will keep going with our brown butter apple crisp bars. While the apples are cooking, we're going to mix together 2 teaspoons of water, which I already have here, with 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. And that's going to be our slurry. And we will add it to the apples in just a little bit. And that will help thicken it up. Okay, it has been about 10 minutes. So the apples are nice and soft. It smells divine in here. All the things just smell so good. So we've mixed together our cornstarch. We're going to pour that mixture into the into the saucepan. And then we're going to give this a stir, and we're going to cook this another 1 or 2 minutes more. And that will help the sauce to thicken. And I do have my oven still on 350. And that is Fahrenheit, which is also 175 degrees in Celsius. Okay. We're going to fight this and get it to hang over. And I'm actually just going to set my salt container in it. Excuse me. So hold it down a bit while I get it in there. Now, that's much better. Alright, we're going to take this off the heat now. And you can see that sauce is a lot thicker, which is exactly what you want. Okay, I do have what I think is quick oats, so we'll see if they work out. It should. We need 1.5 cups. Well, that was 2/3. So that's 1.5 cups of rolled oats. There is our 3/4 cup of flour. Now we need 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Okay, now we need to add the remaining 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. That's about 1/2 of one, so we did a little bit more. Vanilla is 1 teaspoon. We're gonna measure with love. We need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. We need 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And the same for salt. Okay, we're gonna mix all that together with our brown butter that's at the bottom, that's been cooling here in this bowl while we were doing our apples. Once this is combined, we're going to reserve 1 cup of this so it can be the crumble top. These measuring cups are working my nerves, and 1/2 of them are missing their labels, so I found my 1 cup and realized I was using a 3/4 cup with my measurements, so I just threw in a little bit more oats and a little bit more flour. This isn't complete science. This is just a crumb. Now if this was cookies or something, that might would make a difference, cookies or cakes. But I'm going to take this actual 1 cup and reserve it to the side. Now we're going to take this, put it in the bottom of our pan, And we're going to spread it out and squish it down. Alright, now we are going to pour our apple mixture in over our bottom layer. Get everybody to come join the party. Okay, now we're going to spread it all out. And then don't forget that 1 cup that we've reserved to the side. And we're going to just sprinkle all that loveliness on top of here. And this, I think, is just going to look so pretty. Having the 3 layers. So we're going to just sprinkle it all over. In our actual 1 cup. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to put this in a 350 oven for 30 to 35 minutes. We're going to let it cool completely, about 30 minutes, and then we'll cut it into bars.
Alright, y'all, we're getting there. So last but definitely not least is going to be a cranberry apple crumble. I think I have flour on my nose. No surprise. But anyway, this one looks like it should be super easy, so let's do it. And cranberry apple, that sounds delicious as well. We're going to have to do something with all these. Might have to go and surprise some families. Might try to freeze one, see how well that freezes for Thanksgiving. I don't know what we're going to do with them, but we definitely can't eat them all.
Okay, to start, I'm just getting 2 apples, cored and diced. About the same size as cranberries, because this is going to also require 1 bag of fresh cranberries, which I like to put them in a colander and rinse them and kind of look through for mushy ones, especially this time of year. They all go on sale, but sometimes I find some of them are a little mushy, so I like to pick those out. Alright, got that ready. Let's see how easy this comes together. So you're supposed to have the oven preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 90 degrees Celsius. And you want to butter a 9 by 9 inch glass baking pan, so we'll go ahead and take care of that. Since I still have some butter softened from one we just finished, we'll go ahead and do that. You just put a little on a paper towel, make sure you go up the sides, and just grease that lovely pan. And make sure you get all the way up into the corners too, because things will stick. Maybe blot it a little bit if it's kind of looking like you're wiping it off. Sometimes it will leave a spot, so I just dab it. Okay, so I have my bag of cranberries. We're going to throw those in there. Like I said, pre-washed, kind of pick through a little bit. Then we have our chopped apples. And these are just from a bag that I had on hand. I didn't want to buy any extra for that. You could use Granny Smith or Pink Ladies are my favorite. I don't know how well they bake though. That is half a cup of raisins, and this is 1/4 of a cup of walnuts. So we're just going to stir these right into the pan and get them all mixed together. Isn't it lovely? And if you don't like one of these ingredients, take it out. You know, you can make adjustments. If you hate raisins, leave them out. Make it yours. Add dried cranberry in their place if you like. If you don't like walnuts, use pecans, etc. This would probably be really good with chopped almonds. But there's plenty of ways to substitute ingredients and make it something totally new or very similar to what you're trying to achieve. Okay, we're going to sprinkle it with 1/4 cup of sugar and then just the tiniest hint of cinnamon. My poor husband, fall is not his time of year. but I know plenty of people love cinnamon. So we're going to put a little bit, and we'll just have to make sure he can find something he likes too. Just a tiny, tiny bit, not too much. He should be good with that. Okay, we've moved that out of the way, and we're going to use the same bowl again because a lot of this is the same ingredients. And we're going to make the crumble top for that. So we need to put the remaining sugar, which will be 1 cup of sugar, just plain white sugar. And that's oats still in the bowl. If that goes in there, I'm not bothered. We need 1 full cup of flour. Okay, we need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and this is a ½ teaspoon, so we do it twice. 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to eyeball that. 1 egg. And then we need to add 1/4 of a cup of melted butter. A whisk would work very nice in this instance, but we'll see if I can get away without it and just use this. And this is going to be our lovely crumb topping. Okay, that does not look right. It says mix until crumbly. That looks like batter. Let me read my recipe and make sure I didn't miss anything. Well, I didn't miss anything, so we're just going to roll with it. And I'm just going to blop it out. You could add some oats if you didn't like the look of this, but I want to see if it turns out like a crumble top. I thought maybe... I wonder if I put too much butter. I might have put 3/4. No, I didn't do 3/4. That was definitely 1/4. I might have put too much butter. Y'all, I might have put ½ a cup of butter instead of 1/4 of a cup. And that would make all the sense in the world why it's like this. So my bad, but we're going to see how it is. I can't imagine having some extra butter dripping down all these lovely fruit is going to make that much of a difference. But it might be a little on the greasy side. So we'll have to see. If we have to drain off some butter, if it's a little too buttery, then so be it. Now, this needs to be at 375, but currently I have another one in the oven. So once it's done, I'll put this in and I'll show you what everything looks like at the end, and we have a couple to finish up their toppings. There are our lovely white chocolate cranberry blondies. And if you don't like frosting, you could leave them like this. I'm sure they'd be delicious. But we're going to make these a little over the top, and we're going to prepare those ingredients. It calls for 1 8-ounce pack of cream cheese, softened, which I actually did do, and 1 cup of confectioner sugar, which I have here. And then we need 1 tablespoon of grated orange zest, which is optional, and I'm just going to use this. Please remember to wash your fruit from the store. You never know who's been touching it or coughing on it. And you see, I'm not going to the white. Once you get to the white, that's where it's bitter. But I'm going to just get it out like that, wipe it off, and get enough, which was 1 tablespoon. Alright, and again, I've got another 6 ounces of the almond bark is what it is, but white chocolate, and I'm going to get that chopped up, and then I'll show you how we are going to do the frosting. Okay, to make the frosting for the blondies, we're going to whip the cream cheese. We'll get that going. Alright, we need 1 cup of confectioner's sugar, which is also known as powdered sugar. And that is half a cup. So we need 1 more. Now, you do not have to add these other things, but I figured I would since it is the season. We have our orange zest. And then we have dried chopped cranberries. Well, yeah, they're basically craisins. And then I just ran my knife through them. And then we're also going to check on the white chocolate because it needs to be lovely and melty. While that's melting, I'm just going to wipe down the sides of my bowl a little bit. Some of that powdered sugar flies up the sides of these bowls. That is going to be... Oh yeah. That is going to be lovely. Get this going again. And then we'll add our 6 ounces of white chocolate. Or in this case, almond bark. Oh, that smells heavenly. That orange zest just smells lovely. What scents remind you of fall or Thanksgiving? I think cinnamon apple definitely is mine. And of course, pumpkin spice. We're going to wipe this down one more time. I don't know that I've ever seen blondies have a cream cheese frosting, so this should be interesting. Now we're going to pour this out onto the blondies. And then we're going to see what else it says. I think it says decorate, but I don't know what I want to do with it yet. And I do think if I was going to freeze this, that I would probably make it up to here and then throw it in the freezer. And then make the icing after I've defrosted it. I mean, I don't know how cream cheese freezes. If you do, let me know. Alright, that bowl is too deep for me to be able to scrape it out and y'all to be able to see. Just have to work on some funky angles here. I want y'all to be able to see everything, but that ain't going to be one. So we're just going to spread this out. As evenly as possible, especially because this is going to be extra decadent. We want it just to be a nice thin layer. You could even half this recipe for the icing if you just wanted a little bit, because it is quite thick, and just kind of do like a little drizzle. I've seen things like that. Oops. So I read my directions and we were supposed to beat in half of the melted white chocolate, which, whatever. So you can use half of the white chocolate and then not do your decorations, which would be sprinkling with more chopped cranberries, drizzle with the remaining melted chocolate if desired, and sprinkle with additional orange zest. Y'all, this is going to be plenty sweet, and I'm not doing anything fancy, but I think next time, for sure, if it's too sweet, then I will half it and then quarter the chocolate and just do a drizzle over the top. But we'll figure out if it's too sweet. Let's try it. We're just gonna have to get a little corner piece. Are you corner or center when it comes to brownies and blondies? I'm usually a corner, so this works out good for me. Maybe we can cover that corner with icing and nobody will ever know. Alright. It's not too sweet, at least in that bite. But this is going to be extra rich. So that tells me I'm going to cut them into smaller bars. Just enough to like pop into your mouth. Because you don't want a big slab of this, because that's going to be too sweet to continue eating. So we'll make them just smaller pieces so people can just pop them into their mouth like that, and then they can decide if they want 3 or 4 or 1 for their sweetness level. But I will definitely do the little drizzle over it next time. But with the cream cheese, it adds that little bit of a tang on the icing, which I like. And I think this is a winner, aside from so much icing, because that looks like a cake to me. Even if you did the drizzle after, it looks like cake. I want it to look like blondies. So winner with adjustments. While we were getting the icing ready, our timer went off, and this is our brown butter apple crisp bars, and they look like they've cooked all the way through. It's brown on the top. So we're going to take this to the table and let it cool, and then we'll cut this into little bars too. And of course we will try everything, because we need to know if it's delicious or if it needs some work. Okay, so these are our butterscotch brownies. Whenever they came out, they were a little jiggly. It looks like it's firmed up, but I'm going to cut it just to check, because I don't think it's done. It's definitely not done. Okay, so once this is done in 375, I'm going to put foil over this, and then I'm going to continue baking it for a little while. But in the meantime, let's make its frosting. So yeah, I'm not going to rinse this out because there's really not that much left, and if any of the flavors from the last icing get in here, it's not going to be detectable. So we want to beat confectioner sugars and butter into the mix-in bowl. If I can get this butter out, that'd be helpful. And it calls for like 3 cups of powdered sugar, which I'm not gonna do. For one, that's like a 7 by 11 inch pan, and that's gonna be just way too much. It called for half a cup of butter. I used probably a third of what it called for, so we're gonna use about a third. No, I used 1/3 less than what it asked for, so we're going to use 1/3 less than this calls for, which a third of 3 off is 1 cup, so we're going to do about 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 1. We might just start with 1.5 and see how it goes, which that is 1.5. Don't be afraid to make adjustments, because you can always just keep track of what you've put in there, and then add what you didn't if it doesn't work out how you think it would. Some water here. It's about 2 tablespoons, and then I have these little instant coffee packets that I found on a clearance for like 69 cents a box. And it calls for 2 teaspoons instant coffee. That looks to me about 2 teaspoons. I'm not going to measure it out. Feel free to do that if you want to. I'm going to just give that a little stir around so that can rehydrate. And I'm going to take this chance to go ahead and scrape down these sides of this bowl. And hopefully we can get it light and fluffy in this KitchenAid. Sometimes they just don't have enough stuff in them. See how it's kind of like grabbing it almost like dough? We'll watch it. I'm going to turn it up so it can fling. There we go. I think that definitely does better to have it on high. Otherwise everything gets stuck in the whisk attachment. Now we're going to add in our coffee. And all that cinnamon I added to everything else. My husband will completely forgive me for that little ingredient addition. I think while I clean up a bit, I'm going to have some home canned cranberry juice. Isn't it pretty? So I've seen people say they take these cranberries out and dehydrate them into craisins. Crazy. So I'm going to have a cup of this while I clean up in this kitchen. My hubby got this mug as a gag joke one year for Christmas because that saying that's on it is a inside family joke from when my middle son was a little boy. Cheers! That's lovely. Very tart. I might need to add a little more non-sugar sweetener. I think I used Splenda or something last time. I think I'd like it a little bit sweeter, but if you don't, man, this is good. BT Dubs! I am going to be doing a cranberry video coming soon. Y'all watch out for that. Okay, I think this brown butter apple crisp is cooled off enough. Ooh, I hope you can see. You can tell there's layers in it. Looks absolutely delicious. I can't wait to try it. You can smell the brown butter, the cinnamon, and the apples. Y'all, this is like if brown butter, apples, and old-fashioned oatmeal cookies had a baby. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's a winner. Perfect. Love everything about it. Don't think it mattered that I had quick oats. Yes. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I know to say, because that's really good. That might be the one we keep. I don't know. But I got about 45 minutes before everybody starts showing up. And I need to hide this stuff. They might try to eat it all for dinner. Y'all, we can't have that. That's too much sweet. Anyway, we still have one in the oven. One that needs to go in the oven a little bit longer. I don't want to put them in because it's already browning a lot on the top and it needs to be at 350. Oven's at 375. But anyway, I'm gonna go finish cleaning up, drink my drink, maybe sit for a few minutes, novel idea, and we'll finish up this in just a bit. Alright, y'all, we're near the end. This recipe said to cook it about 50 minutes, so about 40 minutes. I checked on it, saw it was getting a little brown, added a foil tint, and this looks like absolute fall deliciousness. See if I can show you the side. We can see all the lovely juices at the bottom. This is the one where I'm pretty sure I added too much butter, but so far it looks good. So this is going to go to the table and cool, and then we will try it out together. And then our butterscotch brownies are going to go in the oven with the foil on for a little bit longer, and then we'll taste them. Okay, so I don't know what is going on with these butterscotch brownies, but I did reduce the temperature to probably 325, put foil on it. But look, it is just, I mean, some of it comes out clean, some of it doesn't. So I am going to let this cool for a few minutes, about 10 minutes, see if it firms up a bit. You're supposed to, as soon as it's golden brown, you're supposed to let it cool for 10 minutes and then turn it out onto a wire rack. Well, if it's not done and it's still squishy like this, and you turn it out on that wire rack, it's going to fall through the wire rack. So we'll see if this sets up. If not, I really don't understand what happened. But that is why I recommend you print off your recipes. That way you can take notes and adjust. Like how I was telling you about the icing on the other one, I will write out my notes to the side how I would like to do it different next time. And then I have a hard copy with adjustments that I made to suit our needs. And if they're horrible, sometimes I will write that it's horrible on it. I do a star method as well. I put like 5 stars if everybody absolutely loved it, 4 if somebody was not such a fan, 3 if there was a couple, and then if 3 people really didn't like it and it gets 2 stars, it depends on how much the other 2 people liked it, as if I'll make it again. So use some sort of a way to know how good it was, and make sure you make your notes. But while we wait, this apple cranberry crumble has cooled off enough, and oh my goodness, that just looks so good. I'm gonna try to get some of this fruit too. And whoever gets these is just gonna have to understand I had to taste them for you, right? That's my excuse. Look, that with some vanilla ice cream, oh yeah. And I'm a sacrifice just for you guys, because I haven't been eating any sugar at all. Sacrifice. Warm and delicious. So yeah, I'd let it cool for 20 minutes or so, and then scoop this up with some vanilla ice cream. Let's try it. Oh my, holy moly. That might be my favorite. The cranberry apple. What is it? Crumble. It's supposed to be a crumble. That's more cranberry apple cobbler to me. If you're from the South, it's cobbler. You get the tart from the cranberries and the sweet from the raisin and the apple. Oh, it just makes this lovely sauce together, y'all. That makes my southern soul sing. Okay, we're gonna write about 10 stars on that one. Mama like it. What am I gonna do? We might end up with 2. I don't know yet. We might be sharing, we might be caring. But people are coming home soon. And I still got one in the oven. Anyway, this is my favorite so far. Let me know if you try some of these recipes out. I'd be so interested to hear if you've tried these recipes out and what you thought of them, if they worked well for you. If you had any issues, let me know. I'll try to help you work them out. But that is my favorite. Okay, I do not know how long I ended up cooking these for, it seemed like forever. About every 15 minutes or so, I'd come in and check on it, and it finally seems like it's firmed up a bit. So we are going to try to turn these out and let them finish cooling. What I tried turning the oven down a bit, tried turning it up a bit towards the end, and I think turning it up to 375-ish is what eventually got it to sit a little bit better. So if you can do it like 360, 375 and just keep an eye on it, hopefully it will work out a little bit better than it did for me. Definitely will be making my notes on this one, and I'm just watching it slowly release from the pan. And we have success, but it is very dark on the bottom. So I don't know how these are going to turn out. But at this point, it is getting late, and I need to get supper going, and I need to edit this because I'd like to get it out for you tomorrow. And I don't know what the instructions have said on how to ice this, but I think what I'm going to do is let them cool all the way. I'm just checking my icing while I'm talking to you. And I'm going to put them back in that pan to cut them and ice them. And then we'll have to taste. They still smell good. They just smell a little bit browner than I would want, but I'm sure they'll be fine. Okay, so this thing has been absolutely horrible. It has cooled, and I've been doing some editing, and it looks raw there from where I poked around on it, but it's completely cooked through. We're gonna ice it. We're gonna test it out. I'm gonna have to make notes to adjust it. Maybe a longer pan so it gets thinner. But anyway, it should be fine, right? That's why we have icing, is to cover up the ugly. So I definitely think reducing the amount of the icing was a good call on my part. Wanna try that? Okay, last taste test of today, and it's evening. We're all getting hangry, so everybody's gonna run around and find food because we're having leftovers tonight. I do not have the highest hopes for this. It's probably gonna be tougher on the outside and probably just right on the inside, but I'm gonna taste it and we'll find out. Okay, it's not bad.
You should let me taste it.
It's actually buttery. It's like a butter cookie on the outside, so that's not horrible. Hopefully everybody will definitely get to taste this. Might have to save this one for the hubby because this one doesn't have cinnamon, but it has coffee, and that's his absolute favorite. But anyway, hope you got something out of this video. Let me know what your favorite one was. Thanks so much for watching, hanging out with us, helping our channel grow. And see you on the next one. Look out for the other videos we have coming out. Love you. Bye-bye.